In the bustling heart of Manhattan, amid a city of flashing lights and ceaseless energy, stood the renowned fine dining establishment La Belle Nuit. Known for its impeccable cuisine and high-profile clientele, it was a place where New York's elite came to dine and bask in their own importance. The restaurant's air was thick with the scent of truffle oil and roasted lamb, its walls adorned with expensive artwork that whispered stories of wealth and exclusivity. Jasmine Carter worked there as a waitress. A young black woman with an undeniable spark in her eyes, Jasmine was no stranger to hard work. She had been juggling double shifts for months, saving every penny to pay for her tuition at the Juilliard School. Despite the grind, Jasmine never let her dreams fade. In her small Brooklyn apartment, she practiced her violin late into the night, pouring her soul into every note. The violin case she carried was her constant companion, a reminder of her aspirations and the talent she had worked tirelessly to nurture. It was a particularly busy evening at La Belle Nuit when Victor Albright arrived. Victor was a man who commanded attention wherever he went, not because of his charm, but because of his sheer arrogance. A real estate mogul with a taste for the extravagant, Victor loved to make others feel small in his presence. Accompanied by a group of equally smug colleagues, he strode into the restaurant as though he owned it. Seated at a prominent table, Victor and his entourage ordered the most expensive items on the menu, their laughter boisterous and dismissive of the other patrons. Jasmine was assigned to their table, her professionalism masking the unease she felt dealing with such individuals. As she approached with their drinks, Victor's sharp eyes landed on the violin case propped against the wall near the service station. "Well, look at that," he said loudly, his voice dripping with mockery. "Looks like our waitress is a musician. Tell me, are you playing backup for a subway singer, or is this your hobby between shifts?" His table roared with laughter, but Jasmine met his gaze calmly. "What would you done if you were the rich man? Share your thoughts on the comments, please." "It's my violin. I'm studying to be a professional musician," she replied, her tone steady but firm. Victor smirked, leaning back in his chair. "A professional musician? Here? Serving us overpriced wine? Well, isn't that adorable? Why don't you give us a little performance then? Entertain us." Jasmine's heart sank. She was used to comments like these, used to being underestimated. But this was different. The entire restaurant had fallen silent, the eyes of patrons and staff alike now fixed on her. She hesitated, her hand instinctively tightening around the tray she was holding. "I don't think this is the right place for that," she said softly, trying to diffuse the situation. Victor wasn't having it. "Oh, come on. What's the point of carrying that thing around if you're not going to use it? Or are you afraid to show us how bad you are?" A ripple of murmurs spread through the room. Some patrons looked away, uncomfortable with the scene unfolding, while others watched with morbid curiosity. Jasmine's manager, stationed near the bar, looked as though he might intervene but ultimately stayed put, wary of offending a high-paying customer. Feeling cornered and humiliated, Jasmine took a deep breath. If they wanted a performance, she thought, she'd give them one they wouldn't forget. She walked over to her violin case, unlatched it, and pulled out the instrument. The moment she placed the violin under her chin, a hush fell over the restaurant. As her bow glided across the strings, the first notes of her performance filled the air. It was a haunting melody, one that seemed to pull at the very soul of everyone listening. Jasmine's music painted a picture of her life, her struggles, her dreams, her resilience. The hauntingly beautiful notes rose and fell, carrying the weight of emotions she had long kept hidden. Tears welled up in the eyes of several patrons, some even forgetting their meals entirely. Victor's smirk faded as the music wrapped around him like a spell. His colleagues, too, sat in stunned silence, their earlier mockery replaced with awe. The arrogant businessman, who had prided himself on always being the center of attention, now found himself completely overshadowed by the brilliance of a young waitress. When Jasmine finished, the room erupted into applause. Patrons stood, cheering and clapping, some even wiping away tears. A man near the back whistled, shouting, "Bravo!" Victor, now visibly humbled, struggled to find his voice. "That was incredible," he said finally, his tone devoid of its earlier condescension. I I had no idea you were so talented. Jasmine simply smiled, her grace intact. She carefully placed her violin back in its case, slung it over her shoulder, and resumed her duties as though nothing had happened. But her life would never be the same. Among the diners that evening was a talent scout for a prestigious orchestra. After the meal, he approached Jasmine, handing her his card. "You have a rare gift," he said earnestly. "You shouldn't be working here. Let me help you get where you belong." Jasmine's eyes filled with gratitude. She nodded, clutching the card tightly. That night, as she walked home under the city's glittering lights, she felt a renewed sense of hope. Her dreams were no longer distant. They were within reach. As for Victor, he left the restaurant a changed man. The performance had stripped him of his arrogance, forcing him to confront his own shortcomings. He would go on to become an anonymous benefactor, donating generously to music programs in underprivileged communities, though he never again crossed paths with Jasmine. And so, what began as an attempt to belittle a young woman ended as a testament to the transformative power of art. Jasmine's music didn't just fill a room, it touched hearts, changed lives, and reminded everyone present that talent and determination could outshine even the deepest shadows of prejudice.
Share your thought in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I pour my heart into crafting stories like this for you, and your support is the one helps me keep going. I appreciate having you on this journey,